So I saw another interview that Elizabeth Warren was giving, this time with Lawrence O'Donnell of MSNBC, and she's throwing more just totally unsubstantiated shade at one Bernard Sanders. So Lawrence O'Donnell asked Elizabeth Warren why voters in California should support her over Bernie Sanders, and the reasons that she gave were very suspect. So she says that I get stuff done, I get real stuff done. I don't want to be president just to yell at people, and insinuating that Bernie Sanders wants to be president just to yell at people. No, Elizabeth Warren, he actually wants to be president to make the government and U.S. society work for the working people of the United States and not just for the billionaire owner oligarch class. And just very specious argument to make, that saying that all Bernie wants to do is to become president to yell at people. No, he wants to also use that platform, use the bully pulpit to make sure centrist Democrats, blue dog Democrats, neoliberals, people like that fall in line, so we actually get Medicare for all, so we don't have, like the New Lancet study showed, 68,000 people dying each year, and so we can save additionally $450 billion by switching to a single payer healthcare system. And she also said that she has rock solid values, and I question that wholeheartedly. What kind of rock solid values does Elizabeth Warren have when she's totally waffled and backtracked on her support for Medicare for all? And what do you know? As soon as she did that, she tanked in the polls. Her support went way down. She was doing pretty well at that point, but as soon as voters saw that she wasn't willing to stand up and fight to make that a reality, so again, we don't have tens of thousands of people dying each year, so we don't have 500 plus thousand people going bankrupt each year due to medical debt because of our for-profit rapacious healthcare system. So we're saving hundreds of billions of dollars each year. She totally backtracked on that. Where was your rock solid values to stand up and fight for Medicare for all, something that will disproportionately benefit the working people of the United States? She also talks about she's able to work across the aisle when necessary, and let's not forget, she supported Trump's USMCA, NAFTA 2.0, even though there's no type of environmental regulations or anything around that. And she claims to, really care about climate change, and yet she supported Trump's trade deal that doesn't address climate at all. So where's your, rock solid values there to stand up and protect the environment? And you also supported Trump's military budgets, either her first year, Trump's first year in office, or maybe the first two. She also voted for that. I believe she also supported the sanctions on Iran that have been hugely detrimental. She's also taken a kind of right-wing approach towards Venezuela. And, it just seems like she's willing to work across the aisle more often times than not to pass, regressive measures that don't necessarily benefit the working people of the United States or the world. And, her foreign policy's not very good. She talked about like a hearing aid bill that she got passed, and the Consumer Financial Bureau, which are good things, but let's not forget Bernie Sanders is actually known as the Amendment King. He's gotten way more legislation and things passed than Elizabeth Warren. So the argument that she has gotten more, quote, real stuff done than Bernie Sanders just does not hold water. So I'm fine with, it's Democratic primary. I'm fine with candidates going after each other on the policies, on the record, on their platforms, things like that. But this just total straw man argument that, Bernie just wants to become president to yell at people and not to get stuff done is just so disingenuous, and just really speaks to the lengths that Elizabeth Warren is willing to go to at this point to try to prop her up in the polls. Her campaign had been, up until recently, basically running out of money. She doesn't have the grassroots movement or support behind her campaign like Bernie Sanders has. She can't attack him really on his record or for, his policy positions, because those are actually the correct ones that benefit the working people and want to transform, the country to work for the working people. And, it's no coincidence that he has the most diverse working class coalition of any of the candidates, because he supports and believes in things that will make the lives better for those working people and for those groups. And Elizabeth Warren's, her biggest support is from affluent white people, and you're not going to win a election, especially as a Democratic candidate, if you're not able to garner more broad-based support from communities of color, as well as from, lower income white voters. But she doesn't have the policy or the platform or the clear and consistent track record for standing up and supporting for those things. So no wonder why Bernie Sanders has the most diverse working class coalition, because he's always stood up and advocated for things that will make the lives of the working people better in the United States. And again, I highly encourage you, if you are Elizabeth Warren supporter at this point and you're more broadly concerned with, advocating for a progressive to get into the White House, you need to really reconsider why you're not supporting Bernie Sanders instead of Elizabeth Warren at this point. It's like 538 had this, the odds of each Democratic candidate becoming the nominee. This was, I think, last week or so. I think Bernie Sanders had basically a 2 and 5, like a 38% chance. Substantially higher, like 20 points higher than I think the second candidate was either Bloomberg or Biden. Elizabeth Warren, 1 in 50 chance, 2% compared to Bernie's 40, basically. And so she's just in the race at this point, it seems to me, and especially with all of these just unsubstantiated and straw man attacks against Bernie Sanders, that she's trying to tank his campaign in a way, because if she was really concerned with getting a progressive elected, he's a clear front runner. He's leading nationally by 10 points. He's leading in Nevada by 10 points. It's neck and neck between Biden and Bernie. South Carolina, Elizabeth Warren is polling at about 7 or 8% in South Carolina, because again, it's even more. It's definitely more diverse state than New Hampshire or Iowa, and so as the contests get more diverse, the primaries and caucuses, she's going to continue to do worse and worse. Bernie's going to continue to do better and better. So it just really shows Elizabeth Warren's true colors. She would rather stay in the race for whatever reason, but again, it's clear there's no pathway for her to get the nomination. But again, Elizabeth Warren and every other candidate but Bernie Sanders on the debate stage last night said that they were okay with the superdelegates at the second round of the convention. If, through the first round, one candidate doesn't have that 50% threshold, she's okay with the superdelegates overturning the will of the voters. Whoever had the most votes or support should win. Bernie Sanders supports that idea. Elizabeth Warren doesn't. That tells me everything I need to know about Elizabeth Warren. She would rather have DNC establishment hacks, these super delegates that will do everything that they can to uphold the status quo and make sure Bernie doesn't become the nominee, and she's okay with that process because she sees clearly that there's no way the voters are going to support her over Bernie Sanders, and it's clear the first two contests she's not doing well in Nevada, she's not going to do well in South Carolina, she's going to lose Massachusetts, for God's sakes, and that is her home state. She's from Massachusetts. Bernie Sanders, there's a very high probability that he will beat Elizabeth Warren in Massachusetts. So it's just really disappointing to see the road that Elizabeth Warren has went down with regards to Bernie Sanders. She should be out there, you know, attacking Bloomberg, attacking Biden, attacking Buttigieg, attacking Klobuchar, attacking these more centrist neoliberal candidates, because what she says and claims to be is, you know, a progressive, somebody who stands up for the working people, but you're sabotaging Bernie Sanders' chance of getting that plurality, getting that 50% threshold, because you're taking votes away from him at this point. And again, it's clear, Elizabeth Warren, there's no chance you become the nominee unless the super delegates go against the will of the people, and she's okay with that. But if that happens, the Democratic Party will cease to exist as we know it, and it will, in my opinion, there's no doubt it would guarantee a Trump re-election, probably in a landslide, and he would be able to go on the campaign trail and see, look, told you so. The DNC is so corrupt. They cheated Bernie out of the nomination in 2016. They did it in 2020. Why would you support them over me? You know, and he would have a leg to stand on with regards to that argument. So again, I really implore you, if you're a Elizabeth Warren supporter, you really need to think about jumping on the Bernie 2020 not me us train and bandwagon. We got room for you. We just want to make the United States government and society work for everybody, and not just to the benefit of the wealthy billionaire oligarch class. And if you're supporting Elizabeth Warren for some other reason that's not, you know, policy based, or you just like her or something, then do you. But if you're really concerned about getting a progressive elected, you need to support Bernie Sanders and do everything that we can to make sure he's the nominee. Peace. Much love.